Okay, Jeff, you may be able to help me a little bit with this one too here. So job startups. So this is a question that I've seen raised a handful of times. Um, Job startups can be a place that can make or break you. So if you get on the right foot with the customer, it can really set the trajectory well. And you get off on the wrong foot, it can take you a long time to right the ship. That first impression is a big deal. So maybe on your end, Jeff, and I got a couple thoughts operationally, but on your end, as you think about, you've sold an account and you're thinking about transitioning, and a customer says, like, how are we going to make sure this is smooth? What sort of conversation do you have with them, and like, what sort of promises are we making of what our transition looks like?
Yeah, good question. And where I'll start real quick is with, we spend a good deal of time from a sales standpoint, uh, pre-proposal submission, talking with operations and asking a lot of questions of one another. So operations and sales kind of working back and forth, so that there's a pretty good handle on what we're presenting to the customer. So there's no surprises once we get out there for the first meeting. So a lot of information flowing back and forth. But then we always, when I say always, I mean always, after a customer has given us a verbal, like, hey, we're moving forward with you guys, the very first thing we do, and I do it quickly after that call from the customer, is to set up a time where myself and the person who is going to be the operations person who's going to be responsible for oversight, and the person really, if let's say the oversight is going to be an area manager, we also include the branch manager as well. So it's a myself, branch manager, area manager, and the customer contact all have a what we'll call a kickoff meeting. And that kickoff meeting is a time where we just we describe, kind of discuss expectations. They During that time, our operations folks will tell them what's going to happen over the next 30 days. They'll discuss what kind of training they need to get done, like customer specific training. And then one might make it very clear that I, as sales, are going to fade into the background and they're going to move forward with them. So that kickoff meeting is a big deal, and we do it pretty quickly.
Yeah, so that's good. One thing that I would recommend as well is to make sure a couple things. Number one, it would be really good to have a checklist that you guys, maybe your whole team sits down and develop a standard job startup checklist, that this is all the things that need to happen before a job starts up, and maybe even the dates that it needs to happen, or the days before startup. So maybe 20 days before startup, you've got the order has been placed for all supplies and chemical, and maybe 30 days before startup, you've started the recruiting process, and a week before, you scheduled a startup meeting with the customer. So just laying out, maybe you've got on the administrative side, maybe you get accounts receivable set up and the customer file set up in your team software, or whatever you do, make sure that what all gets done, and that it's all in order, so that you can check all the boxes to make sure nothing's been missed.
And I also include that checklist, a version of that checklist in our proposal, so that the customer knows what that implementation is going to look like.
And so that operational tool also becomes a marketing tool as well, which so much of the marketing material that's helpful is operational tools that you say, hey, here's what we do. So that would be number one. And number two, I would make sure that everybody is in the know during the sales process when an account is fixing to come online, so that HR is aware and can start planning, so that finance and admin is aware and can start preparing, that the operations team knows this is coming online soon. They can start thinking about it. Hopefully they've been able to go out with the salesperson and put their eyes on it. So really planning is really the big thing here. So being intentional about how we start up an account. And man, you get off on the right foot and it can really make life easy for everybody. And if you guys, I can send a copy of the startup plan. That's something that we've got. We can send you like a sample or something like that after this webinar.